So this is the Swiftcam M3L. You'll notice that I have some tape here. That's because the additional weight that they provided that's supposed to make it work with the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus was not sufficient to counterbalance the size of the 6 Plus, and the Plus would just go like that, would just instantly topple over. So I contacted them, and they said that they would ship an additional weight, which they did, which is now attached. And I didn't use the glue thing that they provide because I'm probably going to return this, and so I just taped the additional weight there, and you'll see it kind of balances properly, but when I hit the go button, whatever, the power button on this thing, you'll see what happens. So it seems like the motors still aren't quite, it shakes, you see, it doesn't really do what it's supposed to do. It doesn't work. So this Swiftcam M3L does not work with the 6 Plus, at least the model that I have. There's a new model coming out that we're going to test out this Sunday, and I just turned it off, so now it isn't shaking. But it's called the Ikan Fly X3 Plus, something like that, and it's supposed to work with the 6 Plus, and big phones like the Samsung Note, and so hopefully we'll be testing that out on Sunday. The build quality is definitely solid, except for the part that holds the camera, this part right here, that seems plasticky, but whatever. Here's the back side of what holds the camera. Here's what it looks like when you turn it on without a camera on it. And this is the actual weight they gave me. It came with an additional weight, which you'll see on the end right here. This is the additional weight. That wasn't enough to counterbalance the 6 Plus, so I contacted them on Facebook. They were pretty responsive. Not great command of the English language, but they were responsive. And they sent this extra weight, which is not identical, by the way, to the weight that came with it. Since I imagined that I would be returning it, I didn't use this adhesive to secure the thing. I just used tape. I made sure that it was totally aligned so that it's hard to imagine it not having the exact same effect. And it did almost work, but it seemed like the motors just weren't quite strong enough to handle the 6 Plus. It does work great with my Moto X though, so I'll include some video of it working with that, and the iPhone 6 too. It works great with that, but not the 6 Plus. I don't know if I mentioned this, but it only allows for a 45-degree shift. So like if you jerk beyond that 45, it doesn't know what to do. Okay. Yeah. So you gotta stay, if you're gonna go fast, you gotta stay within that range. Right. Or
turn around. Come over here a little bit. Yeah. See, even from here, the lighting's pretty good here. Let's see.
Really?
Yeah, just that. I mean, like you can see your face just because it's coming from behind. It's not like overhead light.
I wonder how the background looks. So I just wanted to close out this video with a little summary. Basically, the Swiftcam M3L, it was hard to tell when we were looking into purchasing it whether it would work with the 6 Plus. It was not clear on the manufacturer's site. It was hard to get that information, and it's a bit annoying that they kind of seem to imply that it would work. I mean, on their actual site, it says it will work with the extra weight and if you change the padding, but it didn't work. So that was misleading. But I bought it on Amazon. I'm just going to return it, and it's no big deal. So that's the negative. On the positive, when used in conjunction with the 6 Plus, with the iPhone 6 or any other smaller phone like my Moto X, it did work great. So that's the positive. But the most important thing I want to get at is that these things are not going to go away. This is the future of iPhoneography, of videography in general, actually. I mean, the results, when the machine works and when it uses a phone with a good camera sensor like the iPhone 6, the results are amazing. That sample footage I showed was shot at night with improvised, no preparation whatsoever, and you know, the iPhone 6's sensor is good. When you combine that with stable footage that up until this very moment was impossible to get without ridiculously expensive Steadicam rigs, the effect, I think, is staggering. I think it's amazing. I think it's beautiful. I think the footage looks amazing. And I think people don't appreciate that this moment right here may very well be the beginning of the transition from smartphones just being a really useful tool for photographers where, you know, oh, okay, well, the camera isn't that great, but it's always on you and it's really easy and whatever. We're transitioning from that to these things are becoming legitimate competitors, certainly with high-end DSLRs, and even beyond that at this point. I mean, the ability to stabilize these things on the cheap, on the relative cheap, is just really underappreciated. And it's going to make running and gunning and shooting indie films, shooting guerrilla style just so much easier and so much more aesthetically pleasing too. These are going to be a huge market. The prices are going to come down. The Swiftcam was I think around $330. I split it with my friend. You know, we do some amateur videography, and we figured, you know, it would be a good way of upping the production value on the relative cheap, and it totally does that. These things, the images that come out, I have no doubt that when people see the steadiness of it, their brain is just going to assume that it was shot with much more expensive equipment. In a way, the camera portion is free because I had to get a cell phone anyway. So I was going to spend that money. The camera comes with it, so of course it's baked into the price, but I was going to get it anyway. And for an additional $330, I can magically transform the footage into something that would normally come from an expensive rig. I mean, the way I've explained it is that the video quality, when you look at like the iPhone 6 footage in conjunction with the M3L, the video quality that you're seeing is only about, maybe, if I had to guess where the image was coming from, I would guess a digital camera, maybe 2 or 3 years old, high-end prosumer, the kind of thing you'd use on an indie film, in conjunction with a super expensive Steadicam. That's visually the equivalent. It's a little grainy, but it still looks pretty damn good. So, you know, the M3L has its issues, but as a product, as a general product, these 3-axis or 2-axis electronic stabilizing gimbals are going to be huge. They're amazing. Keep your eye out on them. I'm going to put up another review when I get the next one, the replacement for this one that's supposed to work with a GoPro or a big smartphone, and that's supposed to be $350. But these things are super exciting. Me and my buddy are just so excited about these, even though this one didn't work out 100%. It's super exciting stuff, and I'm personally really looking forward to seeing what other products like this come to market.